is New Year's Eve. What the heck are you guys up to? I appreciate every one of you. The reason for today's conversation is to talk about what's going on for New Year's. What are your plans? What do you want tomorrow to look like for you? All right. As I fidget with this, thankfully nobody's there. I don't know why it's not holding right. There we are. Okay, so welcome. It's New Year's Eve, and I just wanted to see how you guys are doing, check in on you, find out what's new, find out what you want tomorrow to be like, and to thank you for being here today. There's a whole lot of things to talk about, and I'm just going to let this marinate just a little bit, see if we can get a couple more folks in here. I see you there. I'm not certain who you are, but thanks for popping in, and thanks for being here tonight. Happy New Year's Eve to you. And I actually have a couple notes here because sometimes I get sidetracked when I'm talking and I don't really want to go off track. And I think there's a lot that anyone who pops in can chime in about. And that's what today's live stream is all about. It's about you guys and what you want tomorrow to look like. So if you can hear me and I see the number 1 on there, let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from and what you're doing on this New Year's Eve. Just for giggles. Normally I have music in the back, but I got kind of popped for that one time by YouTube. And so I don't have music in the back. I don't want any copyright claims or anything like that. But, you know, it is what it is. So there's 2 people there. I appreciate you. And like I was telling the other viewer, today is about what do you want tomorrow to look like. As New Year's Eve is on the horizon, it's very easy to get wrapped up in the things that we're expected to do on New Year's celebration, which is, you know, to have a drink, to celebrate with friends and everything else. But if you're anything like I am, that never really went the way that I thought it was going to go. And I ended up getting, you know, a little drunk. Things happened, and the next day, everything was a hot mess, and I had to collect the pieces and find out where I belong. So this live stream is all about what do you want tomorrow to look like? How do you want tonight to go for you and this New Year's Eve to go for you versus what you want in the future? So I wrote down a few things. All right. So let me cut out the chatter real quick because, you know, a lot's been going on this year. A lot's been going on in my life. Some other people that I know through YouTube, a ton has been going on in their lives. And this year has been a struggle for me. And I know it's been a struggle for a few others. And there's a lot to be grateful for. And there's also a lot that has me a little conflicted about some of the things that I actually think about and some of the things I believe. And Second Chance Recovery, it is great to see you up here, Irish guy. Happy New Year's to you. I hope things are going well for you. I've checked out a few of your shorts and some of your videos. I got to tell you, you're an inspiration, and I appreciate what you do for the recovery community, as well as, you know, just showing who you are. And I think that's important. I think that, you know, a lot of us take small things for granted, which is great because I know for me in my recovery, if I learn to appreciate the small things, then I'm able to not only be helpful for someone else, but I'm able to minimize things, or rather manage things in a way that makes sense for me, in a way that it is achievable within my 24 hours. I always say that, but it's absolutely true. Living 24 hours at a time is magnificent. That's not to say that there's not a long-term goal. Of course there is. But managing the small things and the small windows that I have makes it just that much easier. Can you hear me? Did my mic drop off? Okay, so I don't know if that mic fell off. Let me know in the comments. Right on. Thank you, man. Okay, so I wrote down a question here, and I just want to know what you think, or you guys think. What do you want tomorrow to look like? I know for me, it used to be thinking that getting drunk on New Year's Eve was one of the things you had to do, and one of the things that, of course, was an accepted norm. But I got to tell you, going to jail a few times and going through the hospital and everything else just didn't make that entire night worth it. And it definitely didn't kick off my new year in a way that I thought it would be. So if you have things that you want to change in this new year, or things that you want to improve, what does that look like for you? Because I can only talk about myself, and I can only give you my experience. But for you to actually be able to say what it is you want to improve, not so much a New Year's resolution, because we see people do those and within 3.2 seconds, boom, out the window. So more contentment. But yeah, so not like a New Year's resolution. And second chance, more contentment is definitely on the bucket list. And, with life being what life is, if we're able to find fulfillment and joy in the small things, like I was saying in the beginning, then we're able to actually, broaden out and give that to somebody else without even thinking about it. So yes, kudos, more contentment for 2020. Yeah, this is live, by the way. In 2024, what do you want tomorrow to be like? Steve, my man, it's great to see you. And I am going to try to shout out everybody that pops in, only because I am excited to be back live on YouTube. And this is something that I didn't really do so well at in the beginning of my time here on YouTube, because, I work through my phone, and it is what it is. So I don't like that statement, by the way, but it is what it is. And so I use what I got in order to try to put my thoughts out there. And Steve, thanks for popping in. And for those other two that just popped in, the question is, what do you want tomorrow to look like? As it is New Year's Eve, how do you see tomorrow developing for you? Now, my eyes will look down, and I'm just trying to read some comments as they come up. So I was having a thought this year, and feel free to chime in and let me know what you think about this. So my father-in-law, he has dementia. He's not doing so well. He is on the borderline of being terminally ill, and, it's very hard on the family. It's very hard on our daily life and our productivity and where we have to direct our attention. So I find myself being spread pretty thin. And this year, 2023, I not only took on a new job. Oh, no, it's okay. Second chances, I appreciate it. It's a part of life, and we are just trying to do the best we can with it. So, but thank you. And I appreciate that. Where was I going? Oh, yeah. So I took on a new job. I was spread pretty thin, and, I had all these changes going on. I found myself falling back into old habits. 2023 now. I've been sober for almost 8 years, not a drop of alcohol. And my life has never been better. Now, with these new changes, I've had a lot of acid tests, so to speak, and I've had a lot of challenges that challenge the way my recovery is going. my wife told me she was on Tinder and just this whole mess about divorce and everything else. And we are working through that, by the way. And I really don't want to go into that one too much. However, it leads in 2023 has been rough. And so with my small problems in life, I don't really have room to complain because I am sober and I have been sober for almost 8 years. And I don't like using that term so much because some folks find it off-putting. Let me know what you think in those comments. Long live 2024. You're absolutely right, Steve. And that's where this is going. So in 2024, I want to develop this channel, not only because it is helpful for me to stay sober, but for folks like you who chime in, for folks like you who watch the content on my channel. I think with your input and your stories that we could spread it to the other ends of the globe who haven't got there yet. Now, this is not a pitch for me. This is a pitch of what I want 2024 to look like, or what I think it will look like. I'm also working on a absolutely 100% free rehabilitation center for veterans here in Europe. And now that's a hard feat. That's a hard feat because there's not one that exists absolutely free, with the exception of a military hospital. Now, I want to be able to get people outside of that because they feel like they're being looked at. Anyway, so that's what I want 2024 tomorrow to look like in my mind. What do you have in mind for 2024? What changes or improvements are you looking for to improve your life and bring you fulfillment? Because that's what today's live stream is all about. Now, I haven't told you guys this, and you may have guessed it by now. I am totally petrified of being on live. We have ex-Army guys. I'm reading out loud. Led by an ex-Army chief. Oh my, Steve. Steve just brought up Red Rose Recovery. You know what? I've heard of that, and I appreciate the fact that you just put that out there, because if folks watch this back and they're able to look at the chats as they go along and they see that, especially if it's available in the United States, I think that is absolutely amazing. And I think that having that kind of connection, Lancashire, that's, is that England? Where's that at? Sorry, tangent. But anyway, so it's great to see you guys. So what's been going on? Yes, it is in England. Awesome. And I'm glad to see that I have a better connection than I had before, because last time was ridiculous. So Northwest England. I have a buddy out in England, and in North Hampshire. Is that somewhere in the same vicinity? Because he actually needs some help. I'm not going to put his name out there because he doesn't like it. But if you are familiar with it, just hit me up and I'll see if I can connect you guys. But anyway, so what's going on with everybody here? I don't know if you've seen Further South. Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I don't know if any of you have seen any traffic from veterans with anxiety. His name is Daniel, and he was one of my friends, and he's also a vet, and he just had an incredible loss in his life. And so if you run across his channel, or you run across, I'm going to put his link in the description on this live video once it processes and everything else. But if you come across him, throw him some love, throw him some support, and try to give him, just a shoulder, because if he wants to reach out to me ever, I'm here for him. And I hope his 2024 is a little bit better than things that are going on right now. He is a great person. He has an enormous personality. And I think that we're here for each other. So the better we can do for each other, that brings a purpose to the reason I do this channel in the first place. That's enough about me, my friends. What is happening in your worlds? That was a weird, dramatic pause. But I had these little cheat sheets here, these little notes, only because, like I said in the beginning, if somebody was watching it, I get sidetracked. On a reduction plan. Hey, Steve, on a reduction plan, is that kind of like a prorate to insurance, or are we talking about the rehabilitations? And if you're just popping in, we're talking about 2024. What are you looking to improve or change in your life in order to make 2024 better? And what are you doing tonight, particularly for New Year's Eve? And do you think you need to drink in order to celebrate New Year's? I asked my questions and I didn't even grab my cheat sheet. I think that's because I was holding on to the paper too long. Okay, I got it now. Steve wrote, Spark and Blackburn is a company to help me reduce home reduction plan. Got it. What's going on, John Morgan? How are you? Wow, 19 units yesterday and the day before. That's absolutely amazing. For those who don't know what that is, Steve, if you don't mind just dropping that in the chat, because I'll be honest, I don't know what that is either. But I think it's interesting. John, I'm doing pretty good. It has been a very hectic 2023. So I'm looking to, improve the way that I communicate, to everybody out there in YouTube land, and as well as in person, because when I come on live, I'll read that in just a moment, Steve. When I come on live, I get real nervous and I get real jittery and everything else. Even though I was an instructor in the Army, I was an Army recruiter. I did public speaking in college. For some reason, when I come on here live, I get nervous as all get out. So, but other than that, I'm doing all right. I'm just trying to improve some things for 2024. And, we're just seeing what you guys are looking to do to improve your set for 2024 as well. So Steve writes, 19 units is 2 bottles of wine after a can. I understand this. Okay, got it. Really cool. Keep working on that reduction plan. And if you need some help, hit me up. For me, actually, I don't know. I want tomorrow to be the first day of my John, I was actually going to hit that up. I was going to hit that up in that comment that I just kind of rambled on. John writes, I want tomorrow to be the first day of my recovery again. You know what? Some folks will argue that relapse is not a part of recovery. Now, got it. I mean, life is a peach, right? So things will happen and your brain will respond in certain ways that it's completely used to. And what was our number one solution as active alcoholics or addicts or whatever addiction you may be suffering from, our number one solution is to go right back to it. So is it really a detriment, minus things that can happen when you relapse, if somebody has a relapse? What makes it recoverable? What actions are you going to take in order to prevent a relapse in the future? Now, I myself relapsed 2 days after getting out of rehab. And the reason is a multitude, but the primary is I was on the same routine of taking the train home to where I was living. And that train had a store that I used to go to all the time to get alcohol because it was quick access on the way to where I was going. So I found myself doing that immediately when I got out of rehab, and all that stuff that I did for 7 weeks just went out the window. And I found myself drinking again, and I didn't stop for another 2 years. So yes, John, tomorrow can be your first day of not drinking again. And I find that the best way to do that, now this is not advice because I don't want to steer you the wrong way. And feel free to chime in the comments, folks, if you got some support for John. I lost my train of thought, I'm sorry. But I find that support from friends and people who have found a way to live without alcohol or drugs in order to live in fulfillment without having to solve problems by drinking or using again, those are the people that you should gravitate to. And again, that's my opinion. I don't want to give you advice, man, because if that goes sour, it is what it is, like I said in the beginning. But John, we are here for you. So if you need some help, reach out. And that goes with Steve's reduction plan. I cannot tell you be abstinent. I cannot tell you that is the all solution for you because I don't know that for certain. I can only tell you for fact that if I drink again, I know for certain that tomorrow will be just as bad as the last day that I drank. Does that make sense? If so, do that daggone thing. Hit that like button. All that YouTube stuff. Anyway, so I know I'm rambling. Sorry. So Steve writes, I was like that with drugs, but my parents drank every day. Yeah, I mean, I did both. The boxing channel #2. You are welcome. And thanks for being here. I appreciate that. And what do you have going on for 2024? So with what Steve wrote, I drank, I did cocaine, I did a host of craziness during my alcoholism. And drinking was my #1 go-to. So let's say tonight's New Year's Eve, right? I would already be completely smashed by now. And I would already be like roaming around in a crazy blackout. And I would already find some cocaine or something like that. And I would be at like, I don't know if you guys know what a puff is, and it's not to tell you how bad my moral compass was, but I would be, trying to find somebody to sleep with. And then I would end up probably running from cops, and it just goes on and on from there. So 2020, whatever that next day would just be absolutely horrible. And I would spend the rest of the year trying to dig myself out of that hole. So I got it. I mean, you can't really quid pro quo one or the other. And that probably didn't even make sense, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I can't say one is worse than the other because I did both and it never turned out well. So, for me, it's what it was. I'm going to read this from the boxing channel. Been on AA for 6 months now. On the 1st of January. So you've been doing Alcoholics Anonymous. The boxing channel, what do you hope to get? Or rather, what do you want the end state to be for 2024? Continuing to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to, because I don't want to out you or anything like that. Alcoholics Anonymous is supposed to be anonymous, and I've been hated on before for outing myself, which is kind of weird, but it's okay. I would, Steve, I'm gonna read this too because this is interesting. Oh, come on, David. Really? No, I appreciate you being here. I'm not shutting you down. Um, I'm glad you want Trump back in the White House, man. That's great. But Steve, I would choose I would choose drink over anything except the roof over my head. I had that same problem. I chose drink over every single thing in my life. And I don't even know how that's a thing because looking at it now, after being sober for 8 years almost, um, I don't know what the hell I was thinking because I was I still am married, but I was married. I had a son. I had an army career. I had money, and I had a roof over my head. It was all paid for. Everything else, and I drank anyway. And I drank because I'm an alcoholic, and I know some people would argue with that, but I didn't drink because I was so weak-willed. But my brain was completely rewired to think that I needed it in order to survive. So I drank every single thing, and to include my cars, everything gone. And I had to work years in order to get it back. Nothing happens overnight. I drank for 23 years and it didn't change overnight, but daggone it, I wouldn't go back to it by choice. John Morgan writes, I choose drink over my father's deathbed. I left him in the hospital to go. John, I'm pretty sure a lot of us can relate to that. And I'm pretty sure that unfortunately, that is a reality of being an alcoholic. And that is a reality of the disease of alcoholism is that, as I said, our brains are rewired to think that's what we need. Nothing else matters. Food, water, shelter, family. It doesn't matter if you're an alcoholic like I was. And in 2024, that can all change for you. Okay, so I'd like to read this. The Boxing Channel. Not knowing my purpose was eating me alive for years during the decade of my 20s, so I self-medicated with alcohol to cope. The Boxing Channel. You know what? Unfortunately, I can relate to that as well. I had 5 siblings, and I have a twin brother, a little brother, big sister, little sister, and I was the middle, and I was always ignored, and I never knew. And this was all the way through, 8 years ago. I never knew where I fit in, regardless of how well I was doing in life. I never knew what was real, and I never knew what I was supposed to be doing. And I did the same thing. I self-medicated everything. I self-medicated my fear. I self-medicated, my anxieties. I self-medicated my happiness. I self-medicated every single thing on the planet. Steve Kozel. The Boxing Channel. I got it, man. And I'm going to come back to Steve Kozel's in a minute. Good to see you. Happy New Year, Steve. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't seen this before, I'm Wayne. I'm sorry I'm yelling, but I always get nervous when I do live. Don't know why, but I do. All right, so Happy New Year from one alcoholic to another. I drank like you, mornings, all day, all night, shakes, delirium tremens, hallucinations, and on. I was nothing but a bottle. Good riddance to that life. Steve Kozel, I feel that, man. I feel that to my bones. And I'm going to tell you what. When you wrote, I was nothing but a bottle, that hits home like nothing I've ever heard in my life, because I actually wrote a book and didn't even publish it because I was too drunk. called 40 ounces. And, I used to think of myself as nothing but a drink. And I used to think of my drink as 12 ounces of freedom, which is a complete oxymoron because it canceled itself out. And, my life was a train wreck. And I got to be honest, there's no way. I've said this in the beginning. There's no way I would voluntarily go back to drinking, especially like a night like New Year's Eve. Why? So I can have an hour and a half or a day of getting tanked and then a year to try to clean up the wreckage from that? No, thank you. God, guys, I'm not here to sway you one way or another, but I am here to share my experiences, strength, and hope with you. And that's what this is all about, wishing for peace. It's horrible what's happening in the world. The boxing channel, you know what? You're absolutely right. The world is a train wreck right now. Come on, let's be honest. But it starts with people like you and me in order to, A, make ourselves useful to other people. B, take care of ourselves to be useful to other people and to love yourself. And if we can get people on the same, Steve, have a good night. If you're back on, I'll be back on for like another 15 minutes or so. Love to have you back here. Appreciate you chiming in. Enjoy the call with your mom. Wish her Happy New Year's. Bye-bye. But yeah, the world's a mess. And if we make ourselves better and we live it the best way that we know how, then I think that if each person does that, we can improve the way we see things and the way we view the world as a whole. And if we involve community with this, and this is the way recovery works, if you involve people who are all working towards the same goal, eventually it'll probably happen. So, I don't know. How about 2024? Let's make the world a better place. That was a little cheesy, but I got you, man. So, thank you, Boxing Channel. I'm glad this channel has been a little help for you. It's definitely helped for me. And I know sometimes I get lost in my thoughts, but I just try to put them out there for you guys. And I try to give you a little bit of what I've learned, and perhaps it'll be helpful for you. And like I tell everybody, if you want if you have a question that you don't want to ask here, hit me up on onesobertoanother@gmail.com, and I'd be happy, more than happy, to shoot you my WhatsApp number. The reason why I have you email me is to make sure you're legit. And then if you're legit, I'll give you my actual phone number. Feel free to call me. I've done it many times, and I've talked to many people, and I'm absolutely thrilled to meet people through this channel, and I freaking love it. And there's a there's a woman named Timberwolf. She's an amazing human, and she has gone through some struggles and strides in order to make her life a little bit gooder. And I definitely want to link up with her and be able to talk to her in person, or at least via face-to-face or something like that. But anyway, so let's make 2024 something incredible. And what are you trying to improve in order to make your life a little bit gooder in 2024? Did I say gooder? That's right. It's a word. Look it up. Just kidding. Okay. So now, what questions or concerns or just comment do you guys have? I definitely appreciate everybody that's popped in. I want to leave the last 10 minutes of this for you guys in order to put your thoughts out there. What are you doing today for New Year's? What are you doing tonight to bring in the new year? My son's going to go shoot some fireworks. We live in Germany, so he's not going to do it out in front of our house this year. Yeah. I'm going to do some live streams later on in the future. This one has worked out better than a lot of them, John. So you are more than welcome to jump in any of them that you want to. And again, if you need anything that I can help with, John, hit me up on my email, onesobertoanother@gmail.com. And I'll give you my personal phone number. And then who knows, 2024 is your year. And only you can control where it goes. So here for you, brother. Appreciate you popping in. Oh yeah, so my son is like going to shoot some fireworks. And last year he shot some and we kind of like damaged my neighbor's paint on his car. So we had to do a little bit of stuff for that. So he's not going to be doing it outside of the house this year. Anyway, so we went on the hill this year, like to this other spot, and we shot some already today. And then we're going to shoot some in a little while here. Here it is 18:30, 6:30 for all you American folk. Just kidding. Yeah, I'm starting to ramble a little. So any questions, people? Friends? John, appreciate it, man. I'll hit you up in a little while. The boxing channel, number 2. That is a profound question, actually. And if my glasses are bothering you, sorry, but I have to read the comments. Does being a father change your perspective at all about how you see life? Absolutely, 100%. Without a doubt, without any question on this earth, having my son has been incredibly amazing. And I took it for granted for the first 13 years of his life. And, I was an active alcoholic at that time. And now he's 19 and he works for Audi. And Audi, Audi. And for the last 6 years, no, longer than that. For the last 8 years of his life, I've been completely sober. We have built a partnership and we have built a friendship that is absolutely unbreakable. We have common bonds with like downhill mountain biking and sports and cars and things like that. So we have a connection, and I was able to show him how not to do things 100% and how to do things with value, purpose, trust, and loyalty in my sobriety. And I appreciate that question because I don't often think about that, but my moral compass was jacked up when I was drinking, and I put him on the back burner. And there was so many times where I should have read to him like a little slower or not rushed him so that I could go get drunk and, did a little more and whatever. But I can't dwell in the past. I have apologized with more than words and shown him that I'm a different person. So yes, being a father changes my perspective, and it has completely changed my life because I wouldn't be sober today, I don't think, if he wasn't willing to get to know me as a sober person. Does that make sense? Now, it's not a end all be all, because you should always get sober for yourself, not for anybody else. Because if you get sober for someone else, eventually that might go sour, and eventually that might actually damage you and send you into a relapse. And so as John and Steve are talking, I can understand how things happen. My point is, if you don't get sober for yourself, you're not going to stay that way. So, but he is a big reason I am sober. I rambled because that hit home. Thank you for that question. Steve Kozel, I'm listening to this broadcast as I'm hiking with my golden retriever in the Michigan woods on a cold December morning. I'm strong and sober. He's happy, and so am I. The only reason I'm able to. That is awesome, man. Do this right. Okay, I didn't get a freeze frame, but Steve, you say a lot of things that are definitely relatable. There's times when, as a matter of fact, and congratulations, by the way, on being abstinent and sober, because my life changed profoundly when I got sober. Just a week and a half ago, in my new job, I was sent to a mountain resort in order to learn to snowboard, or actually learn how to instruct a snowboard. And then just a few months before that, I was sent to a lake in order to go kayaking around it. And then just a while before that, I was sent out to a high ropes course and blah, blah, blah. Those small things would not be relevant or possible in my life if I wasn't sober. I wouldn't be available. I wouldn't be dependable. I wouldn't know how to listen to silence without being completely in a panic. So I too am completely grateful for my sobriety, and I'm completely grateful for friends like you who decided to pop in and share your thoughts, because I didn't have any when I was drinking. I didn't have any friends because I burned all those bridges, and I took all their money, and I begged and borrowed and stole, and I made lives horrible. And so people didn't want to talk to me because they always knew that I was trying to get something from them. The beauty in my sobriety is I can take solace in the small things and be okay with it. I can be okay with silence. I can be okay with, no problems, because I was so used to catastrophic problems every day reacting to my life that I never knew what it was to be proactive or just still. I didn't know what serenity was, and I do now. So, Steve, I appreciate you saying that, and I definitely appreciate you guys popping in on this New Year's Eve. And much love to all of you. And if you need anything from me, just let me know. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve celebration, and I hope 2024 brings you joy and fulfillment. And again, if you need anything from me, just let me know. As I always say, life is a garden. Dig it. Muchas gracias de nada. And thank you, John. I will see you guys a little bit later, and hopefully I'll be pumping out some new videos soon. Who knows? 2024, right? See you in the next one. Now I got to do this whole find the ending button. So enjoy that.